I was very pleased in looking through the MI Safe Schools Michigan's 2020 through 21 Return to School Roadmap Plan included several sections in which they talked about the importance of in instruction and in professional development for social and emotional learning and the trauma-informed best practices. They are going to be extremely important when we talk about our students, their mental health, and their behavior on next school year. I have been training on those subjects for several years, and I know the impact that they can have on culture and climate at a school. I provided a social and emotional learning workshop for a school that had 500 suspensions the year before, a K through 8, and they decreased their suspensions by 200, giving them 300 the next year. So I understand the power of social and emotional learning and trauma-informed best practices. So what I wanted to do that I think is very important is just to talk about a little bit about what social and emotional learning is. You have a graphic that is on the screen. Social and emotional learning includes 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. The roadmap that was presented by the governor on the 30th includes the necessity during instruction and professional development for staff, the need to use social and emotional learning because they know it is going to help with behavior, students who have been traumatized, who have had loss, who have pent up emotions, how that is going to play itself out in our classroom, in our schools, in our buses through the school year next year. And so I want to talk about real quickly the 5 core competencies and why they are important. Self-awareness talks about the strengths and the weaknesses that each student has. In that particular core competency, I see self-esteem issues, low self-confidence and self-worth issues, and low self-efficacy. So working within that core competencies, instructors and teachers and administrators will have a big payback if they can do things to help increase the self-efficacy, again, self-esteem, worth of students. The other is self-management, impulse control, the ability to have coping mechanisms when emotions are high, when students are depressed. Working within that core competency would help students who are having suicidal thoughts, who are having thoughts of hurting others, themselves, and destroying property in the school. Very important. The next core competency is social awareness. And it talks about the interaction that students have with others, whether it be staff, support staff, their friends, their family members, talking about creating sympathy and empathy in students that would decrease fights, arguments, bullying, cyberbullying, things of that nature. The other thing is relationship skills. And it is important because to be a student, a person in this world, you're going to have to work on teams at some point, come into contact with people, and be able to have strong relationships with people. And that's going to be a key to success. And the last one is responsible decision making. Students, until they are in their mid or early 20s, before their frontal lobe is finished developing, their reasoning center, they have hard time making good, responsible decisions. So we have to help them by creating opportunities for them to practice those skills. That's just a little bit about the 5 core competencies of social and emotional learning that is talked about in the roadmap that we're going to be using in the state of Michigan. If you're not in the state of Michigan, you can compare our roadmap to your particular state's roadmap to see, does it include social and emotional learning, trauma-informed best practices. What I have done is I have included a link in this email for you to see the governor's roadmap for next year. It's about 63 or so pages, and I have also put a link in this website for more resources to help us be more successful, and it's with an organization that you can find on the web, and it's called CASEL, and you can go to the website casel.org, and it stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. It is based in Chicago, Illinois, and on that website you're going to find a lot of very helpful resources that you can use. And I am going to connect to this video a professional development that I did for school last year, where I talk about the benefits of social and emotional learning. And look forward to the next email where I include strategies from one of the 5 core competencies that you can use in your school that's going to be extremely helpful. If you are spending let's say 5 minutes a day with people who are swearing in class, who are getting up and moving, who are hitting each other, who are causing drama, right? Who are fighting and threatening to fight, who are arguing, who are in people's business. What'd you say, Daquan? Right? I know you was talking about me. Those things, 5 minutes a day, that's 25 minutes a week, time 4 times a week, which is 100 minutes in a month, times 10 months, that's 1,000 minutes of instructional time. Now let me ask you educators who have played the oboe in high school and going on trips all over the world. If you had 1,000 more minutes of instructional time, could you increase the academic outcomes of your students? Absolutely. And Zoe believes it too. Right? Zoe even knows it, right? That's the thing about social and emotional learning, is that these outcomes, academic outcomes, increase because you have more instructional time and because the students become better people. Because here's something I want you guys to understand. Here's a misconception that we have. A misconception that we have is that students come to school already socialized. They're not us. They're not our moms. They didn't go to school in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand about that. Right? They didn't go to school when people didn't have a device where you can open it up and look on a live camera on what people are doing on the other side of the world. But have a brain that's not fully developed. Right? So they're not socialized, and they don't know when to sit down, when to stand up, when to not talk, when to not have drama, and all of those things. They don't know it. Like we think they should know it, and we take that for granted, and we don't teach them things that they need to know. That's why I'm here, to teach you this about social and emotional learning, so you can mitigate those things, and so teachers can do something. It's really crazy now. It's a novel idea. I want you to increase your understanding of social and emotional learning so you as a teacher are able to teach. That's crazy, isn't it? Teachers teaching. Right? But that's what we want to do in the classroom. But we have to, unfortunately, do things that educators 30 or 40 years didn't do.